Today's video is a really quick, a very short response to a video posted by Kevin Samuels titled, "Are They Taking High Value Men?"
Non-black women just see black women dropping the ball. I remember the first time I used to see white women actively hunting black men. When I went to the University of Oklahoma, I went over to where some of my soon-to-be fraternity brothers were, in the athletic dorms. And over in the athletic dorms is where I saw Becky lined up. Blonde hair, blue-eyed Becky in her Volkswagen Cabriolet with the top down, waiting to holler at Jerome, waiting to get with the fullback, the tight end, the D lineman. Yes, the whitest of the white girls were right there at the dorms. They were there. They were at the law school. They were at the engineering school. They were at the library. I have that's the first time I had ever seen black men being hunted by non-black women.
As usual, I'll put the link to the original video in the description box below. The full question that the title of Kevin's video is asking is whether women from other cultures are taking or positioning themselves to take high-value black men from black women. Now, I'm a living witness that they will at least try, so I'm going to share a few of my experiences as a way to show proof that this is true. A lot of guys will try to argue that this is not true because it never happened to them. But brothers, if no woman has ever actively tried to nab you or take you away from your woman, it means that you're not high value yet. Let's talk about it. Contrary to popular religious belief, the original sin in the Garden of Eden was a sexual sin, and that is why Eve and Adam covered their genitals when they sinned with the devil. When God confronted Eve about what she had done, she said, "Satan beguiled me." And the word beguile in Hebrew means to seduce. And she was saying that the devil seduced me and I did eat or consummate with him. And the word consummate is the term used to acknowledge the sexual act that confirms the marriage covenant after the wedding. Now, as a result of what happened in the garden, God gave Eve and subsequently every woman after her the ability to see the approach of a snake. Now, a snake or a snake-like man or woman is the primary threat to a marital union. So God gave women the ability to see the snake coming and the power to crush his head with her heel. The problem with most men, brothers, is we have no idea how God created and empowered women to protect and cover her man's head or the head of her family. So a man might take his woman to his company's picnic or party, and one of his female co-workers will come over to say hi so she can introduce her to his wife. And the reason she came over is to get an opportunity to size his wife up. See, and his wife recognizes what the woman is doing, so she will stand a little closer to her husband and hold his arm. And once the woman walks away, his wife will say, "That woman likes you." And the man will say, "Nah, she's just my co-worker. She don't really like me." And then his wife will say, "No, I can tell. She's got a thing for you." And the man will say, "Ah, woman, you're crazy." However, the man will find out later that she did actually have a thing for him. That is after she corners him and tries to seduce him into making a quick decision. In those situations, brother, you already know the blood rushes from the big head to the little head, and before he can fully realize the damage that he'd done to his marriage, the woman caught him in the coochie trap. Now, if you get beguiled or seduced by the Snake Brothers, and her goal is to take you for herself, she will be sure to let your wife know that you dipped into that hole. And since my high school days as a tall, ripped, highly confident, three-letter athlete, I was always in high demand sexually. And once I reached my mid-20s and I began making $170,000 annually, I became a high-value man financially as well. And consequently, I had all kinds of women coming after me. But because of the high-level job that I had with a security clearance that cleared me damn near up to God, okay, I had to slow some of their aggression down by getting into a steady relationship. But that didn't even stop some of them. And I didn't fully understand at that time a woman's mindset of what's going inside of her head when she is determined to get a certain man, until I heard about the contest that two of my coworkers were having over who would be the one to get me. One was black and the other one was white. And silly me, I had been unknowingly approached already by both of them individually before I heard about the contest, so I didn't know what they were doing. And of course, I could tell that they were trying to hit on me or whatever. However, I had just moved into that area and my girlfriend was coming to live with me shortly. So I told both of them that I already had a woman, but that didn't concern them. See, the white woman who did have a booming body, she said, well, she don't know won't hurt her. And the black woman was kind of tall with a slender frame, so like Whitney Houston. And no, I didn't hit either one of them, but the black woman continued to sniff around me and slithered her way into my home occasionally by becoming friends with my girlfriend. Now, I had another incident a few years later. I was producing concerts and I hired this gorgeous Italian J-Lo looking woman to be my public relations rep. And she would make lunch dates with me to talk business, and she would get kind of flirty, but I didn't think anything of it because I knew that she knew that I had a girlfriend. But on the day of the last concert that I worked with her, we were backstage talking, and she began to tell me that we should hook up and become a couple and merge our businesses together. She said that by combining our companies and our business acumen, we could make millions. But being loyal to a fault, I told her that I was already seeing someone. Then she started telling me it didn't matter who I was seeing. She could beat whatever my woman had to offer. And just then the sister that I was seeing walked in, and this woman took one look at her and said, oh, I know I could beat her. And sadly, she was right. The sister that I was seeing was fine, but she wasn't high level. Now, I'm going to share just one more incident and then I'll move on. And this one is where a woman tried to take me from my woman. And this incident involved a woman who was married. And this woman was so aggressive that she would do and say little things even while her husband was around. Now, I was in the military at the time, and I was a bit of a celebrity in my field because my job was to brief White House senior staff executives, senators, congressmen, generals, and foreign dignitaries. So I used to get invited to all kinds of parties and galas and military balls. And I brought my girlfriend a beautiful gown and I took her to a ball where this woman was present. Well, my girlfriend made the mistake of wearing some costume jewelry that really sparkled and looked nice, but you could tell that they were fake. So she was so beautiful in that gown and she looked so happy, I didn't say anything, okay? So we ended up seated at the same table with this woman and her husband. And as we were talking about the silent auction that was going to be held at the event, the woman said to my girlfriend, you should let them auction your jewelry. So I kind of dropped my silverware on the table and just stared at her husband. Then he checked her, and of course she tried to act like she was just trying to give my girlfriend a compliment. But guys, the point to these stories is if you are not paying attention, a woman can come along and try to take you from your wife or your woman. Now, Anton Daniels was interviewing a woman where she clearly indicated that she took the man that she wanted from another woman.
Okay, so in the last conversation that you had, you said you played snatchies, right? And
I didn't say I play snatchies. I just said my husband had a girlfriend when I met him, and I kind of snatched him up. Yeah.
Sister, you have to understand that if you are an ordinary woman, but you manage to get a high-value man, he is going to take you into his circle of high-value men friends where they will also be high-value women. If these women see that you are ordinary and not high-value, they are going to do everything they can to take that man from you. See, they are not going to let him waste his high value on you. And the thing that happens with most ordinary women in that situation is they begin to suffer from imposter syndrome and either consciously or subconsciously fight to end the relationship. Imposter syndrome is where a person realizes that they are out of their league and they become afraid that other people can see it too. And women who experience imposter syndrome present themselves to be high value, but once they get around women who are actually high value, they realize that they shouldn't be there. So they begin to feel like an imposter and become afraid that the other women will call them a phony or a fraud or talk about her behind her back. They realize that they don't really belong in that high value circle and they feel ashamed, so they begin to blame the high value man for taking them there. But rather than change and step up their game, most of them revert to being ghetto again. And they say things like, I can't stand being around them phony biatches, okay? I still got some hood in me. But this is when keeping it real goes wrong and the man has to get rid of her. She pretends to be angry with him after he leaves her, but she is relieved that she no longer has to feel like an imposter. And sisters, most high-value men think, behave, have the same taste, and have had many of the same experiences that I have, okay? And if you want to get a high-value man and be able to keep him, you will have to learn what you must be, know, and do in order to keep one of the Beckys or Marias from taking him from you. And sisters, I'm telling you from experience, you all don't have anything on some of these Beckys sexually, so don't slip in this area by using sex as a power play, because they know how to catch a man in the coochie trap. And like most high-value men, I'm attracted to fit, feminine, friendly women that know their role, have a high level of confidence and self-esteem, and a good sense of humor that is still in touch with the little girl inside of her. See, there are a lot of high-value women that fit this description, ladies, so you have to prepare yourself for him to pick you out of all the women that he has to choose from. And if you have tattoos in places that can't be covered by an evening gown, it takes you out of the running. See, high-value men like to attend black tie and gala events where other high-value men are present, and we don't want to walk in with a woman that is tattooed up like a hood chick. We want other men to compliment us and be a little envious of us because of the woman that we're with. And most of all, ladies, you have to be able to hold your own in that environment and back off women that are trying to be catty in a way that's classy. Otherwise, they will conclude that they can easily take your high-value man from you. Well, that's all that I have for now. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, share this video with your family and friends, and I'll be back with something new that nobody told you. Until then, remember that God loves you, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I'll see you next time on Maximizing Fatherhood.